Hi, hello everyone. Welcome again to a new video. So, as part of today's video, we are going to cover how we can plan in a Jira project. So, we will understand the advanced concept of planning using Jira. We will understand the timeline feature. We will also try to understand how we can define the dependencies using timelines and how we can set certain dates, how we can track the progress of different items. So that will be the topic for today. So what I am sharing right now is my Jira site on the cloud. It's creative learning made simple .atlassian.net. And if I click on view all project, so I can see there are different projects being created here. Now, what we will do for today's video, we will create a new project. So in order to do that, we will simply click on create project. So if I click on create project, these are the different templates which are available. So we will select software development, and let's say we are selecting Kanban as a template. So if I use this template, uh, okay, we are not able to select the company managed. So that's fine. That's not an issue. So we will select a team managed project. And let's say we are calling it as timeline in Jira. That's the name we are giving to this project. And this is the key which is automatically assigned by the Atlassian. So now if I click on next, okay, so it says Jira project successfully created. And we can skip this concept, this particular step, bring the team with you, recommended teammates. So we will say invite and continue. So 4 people invited to join automatically. After that, we will click on continue. So now this project has been created in our Atlassian site timeline in Jira, and we can bring the left navigation as well, so we can see this is our timeline in Jira. And this is our board, which consists of to do, in progress, done. So this is the top navigation which is available. So we have summary, we have timeline, which we are going to use in this one, then calendar, list, and so many other features. So for today's video, what we are going to understand is, let's say for a particular team, and it's a Kanban team, or this particular feature which I'm going to talk about, this is applicable for any team. So let's say for a new team, if they want to come up with an initial plan, how they can do that in the Jira. So for that, what we will do is we will click on the timeline feature. So if I click on timeline, so we can see this is the timeline where we can search on the timeline. We can also sort the different items based on the assignee. We can also sort based on the category. And this particular view, it tells us, either we can have this view based on the months which is selected right now. So it is showing the monthly view, the August, September, October, and the upcoming months, November and December. We can also select based on quarter. So it is selecting, okay, what is our timeline for, let's say, for the quarter July to September, from October to December, and then from New Year January 26 to March 26. If I select the weeks view, so it is giving us this kind of a view. So this is like the August very first week, and then the second week. The 9th and 10th is the Saturday and Sunday, the weekends, and this 9th being the today's date. So 9th August 2025, when I'm sharing this particular video, it depicts the today's date. So even if I select today, it is going to show this particular one. So how we can use this particular view? That is the main agenda. So let's say for this particular project, we do not have anything. I mean, if I can show you guys, the board is empty. So there are ways. I mean, normally, if you have seen my past videos, we can create the stories, create different work types using the create button. So I can click on the create. I can select these type of, like, I can select the epic, I can select the task, and so many other things. But I mean, what we will do for today is, if I go to the timeline, and if I say I want to create an epic, so maybe I can say this is my user management Epic, and I click on enter. So this Epic has been created. Now I can say another Epic which says like online payments. So this epic has also been created, and I can bring my mouse here. It shows like this is an epic. So this is another way of creating the epics using the timeline view. Let's say the third epic is orders management. Okay, so this is what we have so far. And if I have to create any child item, so what we will have to do is we will have to click on this button, create child work item. So right now it is showing me the tasks. Let's see whether it allows us to kind of like, I can click on the settings, and if I say configure timeline, okay, I'm selecting the work types. So work types which are available right now is only epic and tasks. So if I say add work type, so I am going to select story as well. Okay, so now if I look at the create, so I have got the epic story and task, which is fine. I just wanted to use the story as well as part of the epic. Now, if I go back to the timeline, so remember, these are the epics which we have created, and we are trying to create the stories under these epics. And the reason we added the user story type is because user story was not available when we were looking at the create. So now we can see the user story has been added. So if I click on the plus sign, so let's say the very first story that we want under this epic is the user login, and okay, it has added it as a task. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it a story. So this has been done. And if I refresh this one, so we can see the user login is a story now. Now let's try to add another one. We can select from this one. We want a story, not a task. So let's say the another one is forgot username, forgot username, and then we click on enter. Let's try to add another user story which says forgot password. So this story has been added. And let's say similarly for the online payments, we want to add some stories. So the very first one is online payments design. So this is entered. And then let's try to have online payments using debit card. I have clicked entered. Maybe another one, online payments using credit card. So this is another story under this epic. Let's try to add one more, online payments using net banking. So what we are doing is we are just trying to come up the initial set of epics and user stories using the timeline in Jira. So remember, if you can see that we are not utilizing the create. All we are doing is we created 3 epics, and under those epics we are creating some child story. Similarly, against the order management, if we have to click or if we have to create the child user story, all we have to do is click a plus sign and select this one, whether we want to create the story or whether we want to create the task. And let's say this is another story under this one, place order, and then maybe uh, confirm order. We may have track order, or let's say deliver order. Okay, so this is what we have done. So now we have 3 epics. And another thing that we're going to want to try it out is, basically, since this is a new project, new team, and they're trying to come up with a high level plan of different epics, different stories, maybe they have also planned when they are going to have the very first release. So if we see in the top navigation, we are not looking at the release option. So where we can find it. If I click on the more, it is a retrospective. If I click on the plus sign, Let's see whether we have the release. So what I can do is I can add it to the navigation. So now release is available, and maybe we can bring the release next to the timeline. We can simply drag it. So now the releases is available. So what we will do, we will say create a release. So we will call it as our release one. And let's say this release is going to start from 18th of August, and it will last maybe September, October. We have decided as a team that 31st October is going to be the release date. So we can say this is our first release, and we save it. Okay. So what it tells is it tells that okay, release one is one of the release, and its description says this is our first release. The work on this release is going to be started on 18th August, and the release date as of now is 31st October 2025. And we will understand like what's the usage of this one when it comes to the timeline. So if I go to the timeline, now we can see the releases is coming because we have already defined the very first release. So now if I scroll this one and okay, so we can see maybe we can bring the quarter. So we can see this is one of the release which is planned between Q4, between October to December. So if I select this one, so I can say highlight on timeline. So it will create a this kind of a line bar for us. So we can easily see as part of whenever we visit the timeline feature, it will tell us, okay, this is our target date. So as soon as I bring my mouse to the line, it says, okay, release one, which is planned for 31st October 2025. And now if I look at this particular epic, so let's say as part of the release one of the epic that we want to release for the team is user management. And what I will do, I will look at its fixed version. So it is going to be the part of release one. So I have selected this one, and this is how we can clearly see. Okay, so now we have made user management as part of the release one. And what we are going to do, if we select the months, since we are going to start the work from 18th of August, so what are the initial timelines for this particular epic? So let's say we start from 18th, and this will go maybe up to whole of September. And we can select the weekly view as well, the week's view. And we can say that, okay, from 18th of August, we start working on this particular epic, and we will be able to finish it by 26th. And we can see this 27th and 28th, they are grayed out because they are the weekends. So we do not want to put the end date on the weekend. So that's why we can scroll it. So this is automatically kind of like setting the due date for the epic. This is another way of using the timeline. So how we can, say, okay, when we are starting work on an epic and when we are ending it. So if I can open this epic in a new tab, so you guys can clearly see what we have done. Okay, so we have mentioned that, okay, this epic is planned for the release one. That means, all the stories as part of this epic are going to be released as part of release one. And also, we are starting the work on 18th of August, and the due date is 26th of September. And where it has picked the due date from? So, due date it has picked from this particular scroll bar which we have used, the 26th of September. Let's say we want to modify it. We want to say not 26th of September, but we want to end it on the 24th of September. So I have simply scrolled it. Now, if I go back to my Epic and try to refresh this one, so we can see that, now the due date is 24th of September. Now, what else we can do is we can also set the similar timelines for our user stories as well. Let's say the very first user story that we are going to work is the user login. So all we have to do is, just click on this one. So we start on August 18th, and let's say this is going to take just 5 days, and we will be done. And for forgot username, this is another story which says, we start from August 18th, and by August 22nd, we are done. And similarly, for the forgot password, this is also going to take just 5 days of time, and we will be done. So what we have done, we defined a timeline for this epic. What are the initial high-level timeline to complete this epic. What are the timelines for the three stories? But I mean, another important feature of about this timeline is, I mean, there is no project where we do not have the dependency. So let's say, in order to start working on the username and password, the very first thing is we need to complete the login story first. So what we can do is, if we see this particular one, we can close this one. But this is the icon for the dependency. And what we are going to do, we are going to define a dependency with this one. Okay. So what we have done using this particular icon, we have defined a dependency. So it says, if I click on this particular dependency, it says user login blocks forgot username. So that means, in order to start the forgot username, we will have to complete the user login first. And so that means, we cannot start these two items at the same time. So we will have to, and that's why it is showing this in the red color. So what we will have to do, we will have to scroll it and make it like this. So now we can see the color has changed, and this is perfectly fine. And similarly, let's say for the forgot password as well, it can only be started once the user login has been completed. So all we have to do is we have to search for this icon, which is a dependency icon, and drag it and kind of drag an arrow to it, and try to search for the displacement on the user login story. So if I just release my mouse, so now all it is saying is, if I click on the view dependency detail, it says user login blocks the forgot password, right? So that means the user login needs to be completed before I start working on the forgot password. And one of the thing about this timeline feature is, if I uh, this is showing me in the red, because we cannot start on the 18th, so we have to scroll it and make it post that. But I mean, not on 23rd and 24th, because they are the weekends. So we can say we start working on it from 25th. This is also we start working on the 25th. So this is one of the very good usage of the timeline. And remember, you guys have seen that I created this Kanban project. I didn't created the epic and stories using the create, the normal option. Everything we are doing is using the timeline view. Also, the dependencies that we have created using the timeline view. Only thing is, we created the releases and we made this epic as part of the releases. Now, another thing that we can try it out is, let's say, in this particular user management, we have one more story which says create user profile. And somehow, let's say this story has been planned for 23rd till 30th of October. Okay, so this is kind of an independent story. So what happens is that we got an icon here. So what it tells, that user profile is part of the user management epic, and we are saying, okay, one of the user story, user profile, we start working on 24th and we are ending on 30th. But I mean, if you look at this alert from the timeline or from the Jira, it says this parent work item ends before its child work items are scheduled to complete. So it is giving an error, because we are saying that this child story is completing after the epic has been uh, completed. So which is not right. So what we will have to do is, we will have to bring this within our epic range. So if I do so, so now it is perfectly fine, because we are saying we are ending our epic on 24th, and this story is also getting ended on 24th. So that's perfectly fine. So similarly, what else we can try is, let's say, if I look at the quarterly view, so this is our release one. Let's say our online payments, this is also part of the very first release one. So what we will have to do is, we will have to go to the fixed version and say, okay, this particular epic is also part of the release one. And we can close this one. Now, if I look at, the initial timelines for this particular epic, we can go to the weekly view. Let's say online payments, we start somewhere in the September, and we can say we start working from the 1st of September, when some of the work on the user management has been completed. And this work will go maybe, because it's a crucial feature. So we are thinking, this work will go up till 3rd of November. Okay, so we can see something like this. So if our epic has been planned like this, so now we have got an alert. So what is the meaning of this alert? So it says like this work item is scheduled to end after the release to which it's been assigned. So remember, we defined a release, and the if I click on this release, it says, we are starting our work for this release on 18th of August, and the final release is happening on 31st of October. And there are two items which are part of the release. We can clearly see, okay, what all items are part of the releases. If I click on this releases in a new tab, so here we can see this is our release one. And if I open the release one, so my release one consists of two epics, user management and online payments. Now, if I go here, so we are saying, okay, we are completing our release on 31st of October, but online payments is completing after our release. So that's why it is showing as an alert. So this is another way of, we can ensure that, okay, what all work items are part of our release, whether they are getting completed within our timelines. So in order to remove this alert, all we have to do is we have to make it somewhere here. So we can say, if I look at the weekly view perspective, so we can say we are ending it somewhere on the 24th of October. Okay. And now what I can do is I can collapse this one. I can look at the online payments, and I can say maybe we start with the online payments design, because that's the very first thing. So I say I'm working on the design for almost like 2 weeks, and after that I am starting on online payments using debit card. So let's say someone has put it the date like this, and the credit card is also like this is also like this. But I mean, how about the dependency? Can we start working on online payments using debit card at the same time when we are working on its design? No. So we will have to define the dependency. So in order to define the dependency, we simply click here and find this icon. And I say drag this icon and try to find the corresponding one here. As soon as we see the square sign on our mouse icon, we can just leave the mouse here. We can just release the mouse, and now it says that, okay, I have a dependency. So it says online payments blocks online payments using debit card. That means, we want to complete the design first before we can work on the debit card. So all we have to do is we have to make it like this, so that this dependency has been good here. Now it is not red. We can safely start working on the debit card once the design part is completed. Similarly for this thing as well, if I look at this particular dependency icon and I say, okay, this is my dependency, and I just leave it here. As soon as I see the square, I release the mouse. And similarly for this one as well, I found the dependency icon, I drag it, and then as soon as I see the square, I release it. And now I can place maybe like this and like this. Okay. And if I see that, okay, uh, this item is going to complete on 23rd, it is taking like 9 days, and maybe this one item is also completing on 26th. This item, it may take some time, it is completing on 30th. So we can see that these dependencies are good now, right? I mean, we can clearly see, okay, this is how we have planned. And so this is a very useful feature. I mean, in order to kind of like look at our plan, and we can see what is our quarterly plan looking like. So our very first release was planned for 31st of October. Let's say for this particular project, we have one more release. So we can again go to the releases, and we can say create version, and this is going to be our release 2. And we are saying we start working on this release from somewhere in the November 3rd, and let's say we are releasing it on the next year 26th, maybe uh, 15th of January. We can say this is our second release. Okay, so if I save this one, so this is my release one, 31st of October, then we have release to 15th of January. Now, if I go back to my timeline and try to see this release two, so right now this line is not showing up. So what we can do is we can click on this one and we can say, please highlight this release two for me in the timeline. Now, if you remember, we had two epics part of the release one. Let's say the order management, we want to keep it. We want to release this particular feature for our customer, for our users as part of the second release. So all we have to do is we have to click on this orders management and find the fixed version and select the release 2. So this is selected and so now release 2 is having one order management and we can clearly see it as well. We can click on the, if I go back and refresh this one, so I click on the release 2, so I can see the release 2 consists of orders management. Now, if I go back to my timeline and let's say for this order management, we started working somewhere in the November and it will go up to February. But then again, it is showing us an alert. It is telling this work item is scheduled to end after the release to which is been assigned, right? So what we will have to do is we will have to make it here that okay, and we can select what is the proper date by selecting the week so that we are not setting the end date on the weekends, right? So if we look at like this, so this is perfectly fine. We are saying on 8th of January we can finish this orders management and then we have the release to plan. So this is a nice way, and like I said, we can also search on this timeline if we are looking for, let's say, if I search release to what it does. Okay, so we are not able to search the release to, but I mean, let's say if I say orders, so it is giving me this orders management, right? So we can perform the necessary search. If I want to say, let's say uh, track order. So it is showing me, okay, there is a user story track order. So I mean, in our actual project, which consists of n number of epics, n number of user story, if we want to understand the timeline of a particular user story, we can easily come here. We can see, hey, what are the timelines for this particular one? Similarly, if I, remove this one and let's say I am looking for user profile. So if I search on the user profile, so this is my user profile and I can see from a quarterly view, okay, this is planned somewhere in the September 18th to September 24th. So this is a very, handy feature and I can select, okay, what is my epic? I mean, instead of, using the search, if I want to look, let's say out of different epics which are defined in my project. Let's say I just want to look at the timelines for the online payment, so I can do so. Okay, I can see what all user stories are planned for it. When is my epic ending? Which release it is part of. So we can see this is part of our release one. Similarly, if I try to look for the orders management, so I can see, okay, yeah, we are starting working on the orders management after the release one, and then we are releasing it as part of the release two. So that was all about this particular timeline feature, how we can use it in order to create a plan, identify the dependencies among the user stories. So remember, we didn't use the dependency creation using the user stories and other. We simply use the timeline for everything. And if we have to kind of like take an export of this particular view, which we can also do. So we can say, take an export and take the spreadsheet in a CSV format and let's see what it does. So if I open this one, so this is how it is telling me. Uh, it has taken an export of 3 epics and different stories, and the due dates are also mentioned here. So in case like if we have to share the project plan in terms of whatever is captured in the timeline in the Jira timeline, we can take an export in the Excel or CSV format and send it across. And now if I go back here, another important thing is, let's say these are the 3 epics, and if we want to highlight one of the epic in a different color, so we can also do that. If I select this one, uh, here as well, we can say change work item color. So if I say I want to make it yellow, so this is how this will be. So now everything, all the stories, all the child stories for this particular epic has been changed in the yellow color. So I mean, from using the colors perspective also, we can identify. Let's say we have chosen yellow for something dealing with the payments and maybe a different color for the orders and some other thing for the internal features. So that was all about today's video. I hope you guys liked it. And I have attempted to disclose to you how we can use the Jira timeline to create a project plan, create dependencies, create different epics, child stories under them, how we can check the alerts which timeline shows to us, how we can define the releases. So I hope this is going to be useful for you guys. And please, if you are new to my channel, do share and subscribe. That will definitely motivate me. Thank you so much.